A love beyond boundaries, a love that knew no barriers. For Sister Sarah and a tribute to Pope Francis 1936 to 2025. Created by Red Cardinal Kitchen. All genre writing. Pope Francis 1936 to 2025. He was born Jorge Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, the child of Italian immigrants. Before the robes and the titles, he was a young man who worked as a chemist, who swept floors, who once stood at doors as a bouncer. His beginnings were ordinary, and perhaps that is why his heart never lost its nearness to ordinary people. In March of 2013, the world first saw him step onto the balcony of St. Peter's as Pope Francis, the first Jesuit, the first from the Americas, the first in more than 1,000 years to come from beyond Europe. He chose the name Francis, after the saint who loved the poor and the earth, and in that name he lived his calling. His papacy was a long act of mercy. He spoke of the church as a field hospital, tending to wounds. He reminded the world that creation is our common home, that migrants are not strangers, and that the smallest among us carry the face of Christ. He walked in humility, and many who had felt far away from faith found in him a gentle door left open. In May of 2025, after 12 years as shepherd of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis was called home. He left behind not only encyclicals and addresses, but something harder to measure, a witness of tenderness, courage, and hope. Dear friends, A Love Beyond Boundaries is not a story of politics, but of the human heart. Through Sister Sarah's quiet remembrance, we are invited into themes of race, faith, duty, and the hidden choices that shape a lifetime. With grace and restraint, it honors a love that asked for nothing, carried no regret, yet offered itself wholly to something greater. What follows is not a stenographer's transcript of Rome in the 1930s. It is literature, remembrance, hymn, and confession. The language I have chosen moves more like a psalm, a sonnet, a cloistered prayer. It is not bound by strict history, but lifted into the timeless, where memory and devotion dwell. It is a tribute to those whose devotion led them along separate paths, yet never broke the truth of the heart. And it is offered, too, for Pope Francis, whose passing inspired this fictional reflection, and for all who have carried love in silence, in memory, and in prayer. This is not only a story, dear friends. It is a remembrance of a love that endured quietly, faithfully, beyond the boundaries the world once knew. This is the first story of our A Love Beyond Boundaries series of ache and ember, of devotion that dared not speak, of love that bloomed in silence. Within these pages, time bendeth gently. Rome of the 1930s whispers through convent walls, and memory walks beside the present. Each story is a relic, kept not in gold but in longing. Each voice, be it Sister Sarah's or another, sings softly of lives unlived, of bridges crossed only in dreams. Here, love is not loud. It is sacred, it is hidden, it is holy. Thou art invited to read slowly, to listen between the lines, to feel what was never said. Let the bells toll, let this story begin. A love beyond boundaries, a love that knew no barriers. O Rome, thou city of saints and sorrow, thy bells toll slow this morn, as if the bronze itself doth mourn. I stand at the window, cloaked in habit, my hands folded not in prayer, but in remembrance. The Holy Father hath passed. The sisters speak of crowds gathering beyond the Tiber, of candles lit and prayers raised. But I remain still. For while the church mourneth its pope, I mourn a life unlived. I remove my cross and lay it upon the sill, not in defiance, but in reverence. I would not wear it while my heart revisiteth the boy I once loved. Let God see me as I am, unadorned, unguarded. Let him know I still remember, though I have not spoken his name in decades. He was a boy then, not yet Father Thomas. A sketchbook beneath his arm, the sun warming his brow. His gaze lingered longer than it ought, and I, barefoot in my mother's kitchen, did stir aquicata with my whole arm, for she said the pot listened. We met in silence, we loved in silence, and we parted in silence. O bridge of stone, thou keeper of our secret, thou knowest the touch of our hands, the hush of our smiles. Beneath thee, the stream ran quiet, and two leaves drifted past, one pale, one dark. They danced together for a breath, then parted, drawn by the whirlpool's slow decree. We were those leaves. I had hoped, in my youth, that love might be enough. That the church might soften. That the new pope, whosoever he be, might see the ache of human hearts not as rebellion, but as devotion in another form. But time did not change swiftly. And so I waited, and so I prayed, and so I loved, in silence. Even now, I see him. We speak as friends. He doth not know what I carry. None do. I have kept it hidden, as one keepeth a relic, precious, forbidden, holy. Sister Agnes passeth behind me, her rosary clinking like rain upon stone. They say the mourners stretch beyond the square. She whispereth, not to me, but to the air. Then she vanisheth down the stair. I remain. The convent walls press close, their whitewash more silence than sanctuary. The bells toll again, slower now, as if wearied by grief. Each chime striketh through my ribs, echoing the ache of a love unfinished. I close mine eyes and see him once more, not in vestments, not in robes, just the boy on the bridge, sunlight upon his face. I remember the almond cake I carried to our final meeting, the way he said, I would not forget thee, the way I answered only in my heart. Now, in the hush of the convent, I whisper again, not aloud, but within. Thank thee for letting me love him. The bells toll once more, then still. And I remain at the window, my cross resting on the sill, my heart resting in memory. Sister Sarah's voice fades, but not into forgetfulness. She remains, as all sacred things do, in the quiet corners of thought, in the soft toll of memory, in the almond-sweet breath of longing. Go forth gently, carry what thou hast felt, and return when thy soul seeketh story once more. The beginning has been told, the bells have tolled, and thou, dear reader, hast walked with us through cloisters and kitchens, across bridges of stone and memory. If these pages have stirred thee, if thy heart hath paused at the hush of a convent window or the ache of a love unspoken, then let that feeling linger. These tales were never meant to shout, they were meant to whisper, to remind thee that devotion wears many robes, and love, even when silent, endureth. Go now, beloved reader, with thy heart softened and thy spirit stirred. May the silence of these stories echo sweetly within thee. May the love thou hast witnessed, quiet, forbidden, enduring, remind thee that devotion needeth not approval to be holy. Let thy own memories rise like incense. Let thy longings be held as sacred, and if thou hast ever loved in silence, may these pages have given thee voice. The bridge remaineth, the stream still runneth, and somewhere, two leaves drift together once more. Peace be upon thee, grace go with thee, and may thy heart always find its way back to story. Welcome, pilgrim of story, thou hast arrived at the threshold of memory and meaning. Here, stories are not merely told, they are kept, like relics in quiet drawers, like whispers beneath bridges of stone. This is a place for hearts that remember, for souls that stir at the toll of distant bells. Thank you for listening to this first tale of A Love Beyond Boundaries, a love that knew no boundaries, told in the quiet voice of Sister Sarah's heart, cloistered yet unforgotten, a hymn to devotion, to longing, to the ache of a life unlived. This is but the beginning. We invite you to linger, to feel deeply. Let the hush of Rome, the scent of almond cake, and the silence between two leaves carry thee forward. For new viewers, if this story spoke to you, pause and breathe. Our subscribing circle at Red Cardinal Kitchen will welcome your light. When you subscribe, every seed we plant here grows a little brighter through your presence. Red Cardinal Kitchen, where every room has a story to tell.